and examination bodies has rejected the delegation from the West African Examinations Council over anomalies reported in the ongoing senior school certificate examination. The committee, led by Chairman Ofoji Oboko, insisted that the head of national office must appear in person to address the issues. The controversy surrounds students writing exams in the dark, with some candidates reportedly starting their exams at midnight. The committee described the incident as unpalatable and embarrassing. Emphasizing the emotional trauma these children went through. He added that WAEC is expected to organize examinations with high standards, diligence, and proper duty of care. WAEC's Senior Assistant Registrar and Zonal Coordinator, Ambrose Okelezo, explains that the head of national office was unavailable due to supervising the printing of examination materials, expected to conclude on Saturday. Okelezo requested that the head appear before the committee on Monday to provide a full explanation of the incident. However, the lawmakers were unimpressed, with some members expressing outrage over the examination body. Nigerians you've been following the whole JAM situation, the glitches and all of that happened with the JAM registrar, Isaac, shedding tears on national TV over the glitches, apologizing to Nigerians that there would be a receipt for most of the candidates that had below 200. And the phase has passed, and then there's been that on WAEC where most of their candidates were seen in most states, in Delta, Taraba, otherwise other states, seen writing their exams at midnight. Not just writing at midnight, they were writing these exams with torchlight. And now the House of Representatives has summoned the head office over the situation. I want to get what you make of this, please.
Well, first things first, it is important to know that our National Assembly is quite an institution that is honored. And over the years, if you've been following, you realize that there's this disrespect that some government personnel, like in ministries, departments and agencies, have or show towards the National Assembly at every time they've been invited to appear before the green chambers or the red chambers. So it is important that when people are being asked to appear, they should stop sending delegates, because the head, the leadership, should be able to account for whatever is at stake, for whatever needed to be accounted for, not you sending delegates. You don't expect the House of Reps Speaker or the committee members or even the Senate actually inviting a particular head of government agency or ministry, and you slight them by not appearing. No matter what is, no matter the excuses, you should be able to prepare and get yourself programmed, furnish yourself with what is needed or required for such sessions, and not sending maybe delegation or your lower officers. It's important. I give the assembly, I cut them some slack for that. I actually cut them some slack. You have to appear, because what is happening, the box settles on the table of the head. Do you get me? Now that's one point. Just last week Friday, I was on my street, I was actually at my gate, and I saw a motorbike carrying about 3 girls in school uniform. This should be past 10 p.m. And I was wondering, we all wrote exams. We all wrote exams. What is happening? I mean, if you ask me, is the system failure? Because we had barely come out from the JAM's issues. We are just grappling with the JAM. What happened at the JAM, Joint Admission Matriculation Board Examination, and now we are getting into WAEC. What is really going on? what is really going wrong? Where are we missing it? How could you subject? And do you know that some of these children, some of these students have these schools, their centers, somewhat far from their homes. And imagine the danger we expose them to with the level of insecurity that perverts the entire atmosphere of the nation. And you want to put parents into trauma, into panic mood. I think we can do better than this. We can actually do better than that. So whatever is wrong, whatever has gone wrong, it is important that everybody that is charged with such responsibilities, it's important they discharge their duties effectively.
Okay, the registrar actually gave a statement that one of the reasons why there was delayed in the exams was the printing of the papers. That because according to the story, most of the exams were fixed for 8 a.m. But some students said they wrote this exam around 10, 11 p.m. and some left late at midnight. Students will have to write exams as on computers, just like JAM. I think GCE and WAEC have made, or NECO have made that plan on having their exams put on CBT standard. First off, the printing press isn't really, getting it there. I really want to, if you can help me make it make sense there. What are we getting wrong? What are we not fixing?
I think every call for the head of the WAEC director, whatever public call for his head is justified. I mean, it's even preposterous that he could come out to give such lame duck excuse about printing.
Are there budgets that are made for this?
Like you've said,
the education. I'm sorry to cut you short. I know there's a budget for the Ministry of Education.
The issue of budgeting, I will yet to go into that.
Okay.
But I want to take it from planning.
Okay.
Do you get? For crying out loud, we all know that there is a time frame. We have these things in calendars where we have dates prepared, dates that are fixed for all these examinations. And you're telling me you have a whole year to plan and prepare, and you want to use printing as an excuse for such late timing? Come on, they can do better than that. How come? So if the exam were to start 8 o'clock, are you telling me that they print those papers that same day? Okay, and how do you explain nationwide distribution? So at what point are you giving an excuse for printing of the exam papers, which ought to have been done earlier, before even the commencement of the month of exams? This is ought to be the level of incompetency is absurd, is alarming. And if you ask me, at every fiscal year, every budget formulation, every time budgets are made for whatever sector in the country, trust me, the budgets are never always enough. Rather, what the government does, what I'm saying it with all sense of responsibility, I should be held accountable. What the government does, if you look at vis-a-vis percentage, the amounts allotted or allocated to key sectors, very key sectors as it affects us as a people, sectors that have direct bearing to the public, you see that in most cases, the key sectors like education, health, agriculture, and power, you see that they don't have the necessary budgetary provision commensurate enough for what is required, for what's on ground. Rather, you see them making frivolous, humongous budgets on things that does not really matter, things that does not have direct bearing on the people. And it appears that the government, the politicians, it appears they are more concerned on themselves. I'm saying this with all amount of responsibility. They are more concerned about themselves. That's just it. So what it's like the education sector, the health sector, they are at the mercy at whatever I want to do. You could just give any little budgetary allocation to them, and let's focus on things that concerns us. You know them. You know those things. You know those things. Look at you are aware that every point in time, oh God of mercy, talk about cars they use, talk about their security, talk about what concerns just the leaders. And this is where our money goes. So if you ask me, the budgetary provision for education has never been enough. For agriculture has not been enough. For health has not been enough. So the government is also responsible. So it's not like it's about the blames I'm trying to absorb or exonerate the government. No. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that before this printing glitch, this printing excuse could be given, you never could tell. Not that I'm making excuses for the WAEC body, but you never could tell their constraints. Trust me, never could tell their constraints. So I also want to understand, and also I want to really show some level of empathy, because I know sometimes it's quite funny.
So if there was a constraint to the printing of those papers, why was the exam date not moved to the next day? You know, keeping them from 8 a.m. down to 6 p.m. At that time, you should know that, okay, this exam, there was no possibility that we can keep the students up till now. Is there no possibility to move such dates?
Well, there could be such possibilities. But you see this adjustment in timetables, this adjustment, sometimes even the body, the personnel in charge of that work could also be wary of questions from above. Remember, we have Minister for Education. So you want to give very valid reasons for such shift in date. So probably they might have done these things out of fright, out of panic, out of fear of being questioned. And now you roll from, like they say, from fire to fire. You roll,
and then you put what's the safety
in jeopardy,
and what's the word, the security of the students at risk, because in Taraba State, there was a particular secondary school in Taraba State that the building literally collapsed on the students due to a rainfall that affected the building. So you can just imagine the emotional trauma and all of that involved.
It's actually a sad one, and if you ask me, it's near disaster.
Oh well,
for our education sector.